Good morning to Ms. Sakun and my fellow classmates. Today, my group mate Thaw and Siong and I are going to talk about tackling tax avoidance by enhancing tax transparency. According to OECD, the Global Forum on Transparency and Information Exchange for tax purposes is the multilateral structure with 137 members, within which the OECD and non-OECD economies have been working since year 2000 in the area of transparency and data exchange for tax purposes. The objective of our study is to define one of the regions, for example, enhancing tax transparency, where the OECD and the international tax community build a common strategy to tackle tax avoidance. As for tax transparency, according to OECD, the Global Forum has become the key body in the world that tax a shot in using universal tax transparency principles. The international tax transparency principle established by OECD provide for the exchange of information on request (EOIR) and automatic exchange of information (AEOI). The overview of EOIR, according to OECD, EOIR requires data that is necessarily suitable for tax purposes to be available and accessible to tax authorities, who can then share the information with tax authorities in other countries on the basis of legal agreement. This norm includes details such as the recognition of legitimate and beneficial owners and other legal entities. There are some limitations for EOIR. For example, in Switzerland, EOIR should have a legal basis. It depends on the exchange of information in tax treaty in effect. It maintains strict consumer protection rules and procedures and major constraints in terms of organizational standards and stringent requirements before an EOI can occur. As for the implementation of EOIR, the exchange of information for tax purposes is effective when accurate information is available, is predictably applicable to the tax requirements of an applicant jurisdiction, or can be made available in a timely manner. As it encompasses three basis components, it is therefore essential to conceptualize accessibility and knowledge sharing. There are three components. The three components are as follows: the ability of information, adequate access to information, the existence of information exchange mechanism. In other terms, the data must be made available. The tax authorities must have sufficient access to information, and a basis of exchange must be given. If any of these components are lacking, there will be no efficient exchange of information. Now I will pass it to Thaw.
Thank you, Jason, for giving us an idea about the EOIR. So now I will be explaining about the AEOI, Automatic Exchange of Information. In short, AEOI is the exchange of information between the country without having to request for it, and it exists to reduce the global tax evasions. All information can be found within the AEOI standards. in relation to different agreements between the countries, links to the relevant legislations and practitioner guides. So in a G20 conference during 2013, AEOI was introduced by the financials, was introduced as a global tax as a global standard for tax corporations when the finance minister of the countries and the central bank governor noticed visible signs of tax evasions in the wealthy segment of the society. Hence, an implementation of AEOI will help the government to reduce the tax revenue loss while further strengthen the transparency between the tax authority by not only allowing the governments of the home country to impose a proportionate tax on its resident foreign investment, but also by granting them the right to tax their resident foreign investments, followed by the resident-based administrations. Furthermore, the implementations of the standard also provide an opportunity for tax administration to enhance the domestic and foreign compliance. So, why is EOIR being replaced by AEOI? Well, to be exact, both standards have to work together in order to enhance the tax cooperations between the countries. Just that the EOIR is a more valuable tool for enhancing global transparency and cooperations, and it allowed the tax administrations to, for enhancing global transparency and cooperation by allowing the tax administration to request information from the treaty partner, while AEOI is a more proactive tool in which it can inform the country of its residents wealth that has been consumed offshore, undetected, and escaped the tax. It simultaneously deters future non-compliance. Global engagement of AEOI will contribute in the integrity of international financial and the tax system. Moving on, and for most of the developing countries which do not host a financial center, they are not asked to commit to the same timeline, recognizing the particular challenge faced by them during the implementations of AEOI standards. They were instead invited to participate in the pilot projects to assist them in the implementing AEOI standards. Growing mobility of money, people, as well as the technology change also mean that the widespread automatic exchange of information has become increasingly viable as a resource for complementing and improving EOIR and enhancing the tax transparency. Although the effectiveness of both standard agreements in between the tax authority across the border has increased the tax revenue incomes of the member in the global forums, yet there are still few parts not being covered in the standards and eventually become the weaknesses of it. First of all, the AEOI requires the providing of information to the home countries so that they can increase their tax revenue incomes, but on the contrary, it will make the low tax country become less attractive to the foreign investor. Besides, the substantial welfare loss suffered by the small open economies, as they will have less resources available for consumption and domestic investments. Last but not least, as for the conclusions, as for the recommendations, building an effective tax administration will help in keeping the taxpayer information database and record confidently. Although building an effective tax administration will cost a lot of time and effort, yet a good capability development will eventually help the country with big revenue to have a choice over how they allocate their resources in the long-term time. Thank you.
Any questions?
Just now you guys mentioned IRA is replaced by EOI, right? But I thought both have to work together in order to handle tax avoidance.
As I mentioned just now, EOIR is slowly being replaced by the AEOI. Well, yet still, the both standards still have to work together, complementary work together. Just that the AEOI is a more proactive tool as compared to EOIR and in enhancing the tax cooperation between the tax authority across the border. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Apart from the high cost of compliance, is there any other challenge confronted by the developing countries in implementing the AEOI standard?
A lack of capacity seems to be the key matter for developing countries to implement the AEOI standards due to the limited resources to analyze the information, followed by the limited resources to send the information, and the IT technologies as well.
Anyone else has questions? Okay.
Thank you.